ورحمة الله وبركاته الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم. Dear attendees, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you all. Welcome to this second webinar organized by Hope from Sunni Dawat Islami UK. Last week, alhamdulillah, we had a very insightful talk about preparing a standout CV from Brother Muhammad Ali. For those of you who watched last week's webinar or participated on Zoom, you'll know that we have 3 series from Hope being delivered in the coming future, inshallah. The first part is employability and skills development series, which was the beginning last week when we learned about preparing a great CV. We've also got part 2, which is a second series, which is on career guidance. And that's something that we will be delving into further today, inshallah. And the third part, or the third series, which we'll be holding, is on career insights, in which we will learn more about separate careers, different career insights from our esteemed guests, inshallah. Today, as part of the career guidance series, the topic is, what are my choices after college? And many of you who went to school or went to college will have faced this dilemma. I myself faced this dilemma, wasn't sure what to do. Should I study? Should I not? Should I go straight into work? And many of you who have been in education or not, you will have faced this problem or this question. So what should you do? So Hope, alhamdulillah, have organized today's webinar with a very experienced individual. It's somebody who I've seen develop over many years. Even during my college life, he was part of the college which I attended, mentoring and coaching students and guiding them in order to progress in their careers. It is Brother Shabbir Musa from Preston. Brother Shabbir, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you could just unmute your audio, please.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Hafizab.
Jazakallah for coming on today to give us an insight into your knowledge in this field. Brother Shabbir has over 25 years experience in providing guidance, in particular career guidance. He's worked for colleges in Preston, UK, Preston College, and also Runshaw College. Currently, he is a head of year at Eden Boys School in Preston. So just based on his experience, you can understand how much he can help us and how much he has to offer for our students who are in this bubble of what to do after college. So I will hand over to Shabbir Bhai, inshallah, as we do have to bear in mind Maghrib time as well, and we want to gain as much info as possible from him. He will be delivering, inshallah, 3 sessions. This is the first of 3, and we'll learn all about what to do after college, whether to go to uni, apprenticeships, gap years, etc. So Shabbir Bhai, if you can take over, please. Jazakallah.
Sorry to interrupt here. There is question and answer session on this, people who have joined in from Zoom. So if you have any question and answer while Shabbir Bhai is delivering his presentation, you can post your questions there. And inshallah, at the end of presentation, we will put them questions depending upon whatever the time is. So whoever sends questions, inshallah, the way it's been sent in, we'll be putting those questions to Shabbir Bhai, inshallah. So you can use that option which is there on the screen where it says Q&A to post any questions in regards to presentation, which will be starting, inshallah. Bismillah.
Jazakallah, Bhai.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers, thank you for the introduction, Hafizab. I'm not going to delve too deeply about my past and history, and Hafiz has already mentioned, and I'm conscious of about the timing, and I know we've started a little bit late as well with technical difficulties, which we always have in these circumstances, but we're up and running, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all my listeners, brothers, sisters that are online. I'm assuming there'll be other people joining in as we go along. I think it's really important this time of the year to unravel some of the complications, some of the myths surrounding careers guidance, careers options, because it's a minefield out there with university options, choices. Which university shall I choose? Which course shall I choose? Universities are putting on more and more courses, and it's therefore getting more difficult to people to make the right choices. I'm also going to talk today generally about university apprenticeships, and people also choose to take a gap year, take a year out to look at what they want to do, just in case they miss the grades they wanted or they're not sure what they want to do as well. So I'll talk a little bit about that today. So today's session really is a broad overview information about options and career opportunities that are out there. I thought it was next week, it was important then that I go deeply into how to fill out a university application, because that can be quite a complex application process, and writing a personal statement. Going back to last week's session where Brother Muhammad talked about writing a CV and selling yourself, a personal statement is very similar. You are selling yourself to a university, and you know, it's got to be right when you're applying for a course. So next week I will delve deeper into university application. And session 3 that I'm going to deliver, the dates to be confirmed, which again, it's not urgent at this stage, is becoming a popular option, is understanding apprenticeships. The government is now putting a lot of money with employers to take on young apprentices at different levels. So I'm going to go into that, but at a later stage, because that is becoming a popular option for a lot of people. So today really, and it looks like there's only 3 options that people have. In fact, it's the top 2 options that are main one. Once people get to age 18 or possibly even 19 once you've left, either your option is either going to university or get a job, get an apprenticeship. And I'll go into a little bit about them too in a minute. There is a third option of taking a year out. Traditionally, a gap year used to be where people go out and travel, go abroad, gain a lot of experience, skills, gain a lot of confidence from traveling as well. And obviously that's become less popular because of lots of reasons, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit as well. So a couple of options: going to university or get an apprenticeship once people leave college. But just before I go into that, I think it's important for young people to realize what are they at college for? What is the reason why people go to college? And some of these probably sound quite obvious, but I just felt it was important just to remind people the reasons why you are there. Gaining qualifications, that goes without saying. You know, you want to get a qualification, especially a level 3 qualification or an A-level qualification, because that is what's going to progress you to university and apprenticeship. So you're working towards a qualification. I'm going to talk a little bit, 5 minutes, about BTECs and A-levels, because there's still a myth surrounding that A-levels better than BTECs, and A-levels for bright people and BTEC is not for bright people. So I'm going to talk a few minutes just to sort of clarify some of the myths surrounding BTECs and A-levels. A BTEC course at level 3 is equivalent, as far as a university is concerned and an employer is concerned, is equivalent to 3 A-levels. So level 3 BTEC course is a 2-year course and is equivalent on par with 3 A-levels. The main difference is the BTEC course, it focuses on, it homes on a specific occupation. For example, if somebody is really interested in sport or engineering or science or IT, there's no harm in choosing a BTEC course, because a BTEC course will specifically focus on the subject that they want to do. The advantage of that is that you are learning lots of practical skills and knowledge-based skills on a BTEC course, but that's if you know what you want to do. A-levels tends to be where you choose 3, possibly even 4 subjects. It tends to be mainly 3 subjects, but sometimes it could be 4 subjects. And you do that over the 2 years. There's an exam at the end of the 2 years, and all your eggs in that one basket. So it all relies on that end exam after the 2 years. Whereas a BTEC is coursework based. You are doing coursework as you go along, and your coursework assignment mark counts towards your end result. So in some ways, passing a BTEC is probably a lot easier than passing A-levels. But that doesn't mean A-level is harder than BTECs, you know, because it's on the same par. And I'm just going to flick over to the next tariff, just to sort of clarify that. If you are applying for university, and most universities won't specify whether they want A-level subjects or whether they want BTEC subjects, they will say, we want UCAS points. So each A-level and BTEC equates to certain university points. So, for example, if Lancaster University is running an economics degree, they will say on their website that they want 128 points for an economics degree at Lancaster. As you can see from that chart, if you did A-levels, that equates to grade A, and C. So in your 3 subjects, 2 A's and a C. That's what they want from your A-level. If you're doing a BTEC, and it doesn't really matter which BTEC, they want a DDM, so distinction, merit, okay? And that's an overall, after the 2 years, once you've completed all your assignments, modules, overall, they're looking for DDM. So somebody at Lancaster University sat in a class doing economics can be sat with an A-level student and a BTEC student going for the same degree. But as you can see, you know, it sort of equates to A-level and BTEC. So in some ways, what I'm trying to say, BTEC level 3 qualification, don't dismiss the fact that BTECs are lower than A-levels. You know, it can equate and it can get you to university. However, there are certain, not many, but few occupations like medicine, dentistry, veterinary surgeon, and a few others that require A-levels. And also, there is some universities, the traditional Oxford and Cambridge and Durham universities sometimes ask for A-level subjects, but they're very few and far between. So when making choices, don't just assume, and I know as Asian people, and maybe I'm the same as well, we do push our kids to do A-levels. You have to do A-levels, and why can't you do A-levels? Which is fine because they are challenging, academically challenging. But if they want to do BTEC course, a specific occupation area, I think it's still fine for people to do a BTEC level 3 qualification. So just going back then, so just wanted to clarify that. So there is options there, and level 3 BTEC, because you can do a level 2 and level 1, but level 3 equates to 3 A-levels. Okay. Going to college, you're learning and developing new skills. Sitting in a classroom, when you're working in groups, you're developing your communication skills. You do presentations in college as well, so you're developing your communication skills. And also, there are opportunities for you to do like first aid course, enrichment activity, and those sort of things. So, you know, when you're at college, don't just focus on your BTEC and A-level. There is a lot of other things that go on in college to develop your skills. And I'll come to that in a minute because it is important. Gain further knowledge and understanding. Yeah, if you're doing a new subject, then you are gaining further knowledge and understanding in that particular subject area. So that's important as well. The next one, I've put that in, and again, it sounds quite obvious, making new friends. But the reason I've put that in is that young people, especially Asian people, you can get caught up in making the wrong friends. All right, you're there for a reason, to gain a qualification, do well, and then move on. A lot of people tend to sort of come to college, make new friends, and then not progress. And sometimes it's to do with the friendship that you build within college. So just be careful. It's nothing wrong with making new friends and meeting new people, but making new friends, stay in the right crowd, and obviously you will do well, because going into the wrong crowd can sort of direct you into either failing a course or not doing well. And obviously college creates opportunities for people, whether it's apprenticeships or university. I've talked about the tariff, so just quickly again, each grade, A-level and BTEC, equates to UCAS points. Most university will just say to you, or on their website, they'll say, we want 128 points or 144 points or 152 points. They won't specify A-level or BTEC. So whether you do a BTEC or an A-level, you should be able to apply for a course based on the point system on each degree. Each degree course has different points depending on the academic ability. Just the other few things. University, you've got to do a lot of research. It's a big decision people make. I know a lot of people who tend to make last-minute decision based on either they've not spent enough time doing research, or just because the friend's doing a course, they want to do the course, or the friend's going to a specific university, so they want to go to the same university. That's a big no from me, because this is your career path you're choosing. This is a career opportunity you are choosing. Do lots of research on universities, and I'll go into that in a bit. So it's a big decision you're making, because it's a career path you're choosing. All right. Where do I go? Now, I'm just going to talk about the Northwest. We are quite fortunate in the Northwest that we've got some really good universities. We've got some in Manchester, some in Liverpool, Edge Hill, Lancaster, UCLan. We've got 5 or 6 really good universities in our area. So if you're in the Northwest, there's no probably need to move away. And I'll come to the cost in a minute, because there is a lot of cost involved moving away. But some people may want to choose to move away, which is fine. But the opportunities are here in the Northwest, which is a far better option as far as I'm concerned, because you can travel from home and come back home again, and it costs less as well. You've got to then look at who offers the degree you want. Okay, which university is offering the degree that I want? What is the university like? Is it one of the good universities? The status of the university, because there are specific university, prestigious universities, which have higher entry requirements, but they are good universities, and you should try and aim to apply to them, because your job opportunity when you apply for jobs are probably a little bit greater than somebody else if you've been to a good university. Okay. Combined degrees, nowadays there's a lot of combined degrees. So if you did economics, for example, again, you can do economics with a language, or economics with psychology, or economics with sociology. So have a look at some of those combined degrees as well, because those are good options as well. Some universities, in fact, a lot of universities now offer scholarships. It's a way to attract you, because obviously you are worth a lot of money to a university, so they want to attract you. They want you to come to their university, so they will offer you scholarships to entice you to the university. Again, it's different amounts at different universities, so that should not be a choice-making decision, but it is sometimes good to look at. Like I said, the status of the university is also good. Lancaster is in the top 10 in the country. Manchester Met is a good university as well. So sometimes choosing a good university is also beneficial. And then there's cost as well. Now, in my 3 series, I've not built in a session on cost, and maybe in the future, Hafizab, in 6-7 weeks' time, because there's a lot to talk about the cost of universities, how much it costs, maintenance, and all that sort of thing, living abroad, living away, and that sort of thing. So I might do another session on cost, but it is decision making, because if you're moving away, accommodations are around 120, 130 pounds a week. If you're looking for accommodation away from home, that is nearly about £4,000 a year. And that's the reason why I said in this area, we are fortunate that you don't really need to move away to save that cost, but some degrees may allow you to move away. But I'll do another session later on finance and cost and that sort of thing. Which course can apply for other areas. So if you decide after the 2 years you want to change direction, so you've chosen, for example, a BTEC course in science or engineering, and then you decide that, you know what, I fancy a change, I don't want to carry on in this area, can I apply to a different area? If you chose 3 A-levels thinking I was going to do pharmacy and then decide that I want to do engineering, then yes, you can. And going back to this UCAS tariff, universities only ask for points. So regardless of what you've done, as long as you do well and achieve the grades that you need and the points are relevant to that course, you should be able to apply for a different course, and that should not be a problem. But then I'll come to the personal statement, because you've got to write in your personal statement why you want to change and what skills you have in order to change to a different field. So what do you need? You need to obviously complete the course. Without finishing the course, a level 3 course, a level 2 and level 1 BTEC course is not enough to get you to university. It has to be a level 3 BTEC or an A-level course. So you've got to complete the course, achieve your best grades. Going back again, I've known people when they see, for example, 128 points, I only need an A, and a C. And then people will work on the C rather than achieving their best grade. So what I'm trying to say is, don't lower your expectation just because your university says you need 2 A's and a C. You know, aim for the best, aim for what you can achieve, and aim for the best grades, because that is what will get you into the better university. The college will give you a reference, the teacher will write a reference, and in most cases, it'll be a good reference. But like I said, if you've not been attending, if you've not done your coursework properly, if you've been messing around, the college may give you not as good reference, and therefore your place at university might be at jeopardy. So that's another reason why you should do well at college. I'm not going to go into because next week I'm going to talk about personal statement, but personal statement, a bit like CV, this is your selling point to the university, because 95% of the people now get the grades that you need. And that is without saying, because colleges are paid to pass people. Then employers and university will read your personal statement. They will read your reference and say, what else have you done outside your qualification? And that's where I talked about gaining more skills, doing enrichment activity, doing charity work, paid work. Did you go out and get a job, or did you just stay at home? So doing things outside your qualification always helps with employers and university, because universities will read your personal statement. So if you are year 11 or year 12, start looking at, doing stuff outside your qualification, because your qualification might not be enough to get you onto the course. So university, UCAS basically stands for University and Colleges Admissions Service. They are an independent body. They're not a college. They are independent, and and they administer. They will take your application and then send them off to universities. So they will administer all your applications that you've completed. Okay. You apply through your college. If you're at college, you apply through your college. And the reason for that, you can do independently, but it's better to do it through your college, because your college will check your application. They will check your personal statement. They will check that it's all done correctly. Okay. So apply through your college. You can make up to 5 choices of universities on your application. That gives you a better chance of getting at least 1 or 2. Some people always come to me and say, I only want to apply to 1 or 2. I always say, well, why don't you apply for 5, just so that if you get rejected from 1 or 2, then you're not back to the drawing board. At least you've got 2 or 3 other options that have accepted you, so it's there for you anyway. So 5 choices from my point of view. Go for all 5 choices. Create a good personal statement, which I'll talk about next week, and then fill in an online application. So this is the process, which I'm going to talk more about next week's session. Okay, and we'll cover that, like I said, next week. So going back to research, doing lots and lots of research. Don't just sort of last minute just say, right, I want to do pharmacy, because you will struggle. People will struggle because there's so much to do, so much to research, so many options with universities, so much to do with your application. So please don't leave it last minute. Start doing if you're 11 or first year at college, you can start doing your research now. If you're in your second year of college, then this is the time, because the UCAS application process is gone live. UCAS is now gone live. So that's why I wanted next week's sessions early, so people can start doing their application. So do lots of research, and it's really important. Talk to your parents, talk to all the brothers and sisters who've been to university, because they'll have some insight into what's required and what you need to do. IAG, information, advice and guidance, advisors at college and school. Now with lockdown, I know colleges aren't doing full 5 days anymore. I think there might be some colleges are you're only going in for a day or 2 days, and the rest of the time it's online teaching. So you may have limited access to an advisor, but there are some really good websites, which I'm going to come to in a minute. So talk to people, basically. Couple of websites. There are lots of websites, but one is the UCAS website and the other one is Unifrog. Now, there's a lot of information on both of these websites. You can put in a university and it'll come up with all the courses that you may want to do, or you could put a course in and then it will give you all the universities in your area that does that course as well. All right, so you can do searches on both the websites, and they are very good as well. So you can do some research on there as well. You can also go on individual university websites as well. So go straight onto Manchester or Liverpool or Edge Hill or Oxford, and they will give you lots of information about the course that you want to do and the entry requirements. Always look at the entry requirements because that's important as well. Okay. And I put virtual open days. I mean, traditionally, people wouldn't attend an open day. But I think with COVID and that sort of thing, I think it's all going to be virtual over the next 4, 5, 6 months. So, so universities will put on virtual open days, which you can sort of go on, ask questions to some of the teachers and admissions teachers and things. So, attend those. After what I'm going to do is ask people if they've got any questions at this stage, just on what I've talked about, because I've got a few more slides on apprenticeships and gap year, but I thought I'll just give myself a few minutes breather, and people might have questions based on what I've talked about. Is there not many questions at the moment?
There's not. We haven't had any questions as of yet, but our participants are advised to post them, and inshallah we'll gather them at the end. If there is something that really needs to be answered urgently, then I will ask you, inshallah, whilst you're on topic, but at the moment, we'll leave it till the end, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. So like I said, I'm going to go in giving an overview of the options available, the opportunities available, and next week I'll delve a bit deeper into some of these things. Apprenticeships is becoming a better option for a lot of people. A lot of people have now started thinking about apprenticeships. I think in the main because university is becoming costly and people are scared off by the tuition fees and the maintenance grants, and people are scared off by the debt they might have at the end. So apprenticeships is becoming a popular option with many people. So I think it's important that I touch on it today. I'll come back to it and go in more detail in a few weeks. Basically, an apprenticeship is a job. It's work that you apply for. So you apply for a job, you apply for an apprenticeship, you get paid for the job that you've been taken on to do. But the main thing with apprenticeship is that you will go to either college or a training provider or university to do a day release qualification. Okay. Now, with that, something to bear in mind is that the qualification that you do with an apprenticeship is related to the job that you are doing. So you don't get a choice of the course that you do. You're told to go on a specific course, and it's related to the job that you do, which is fine, because if that's a job you're doing, then it has to be related. So that's an apprenticeship. It's a job, you're getting paid for it, and you go in 1 day a week. Sometimes it's block release as well, to college or university. Apprenticeships can be at level 2, level 3, and level 4. Level 2 tends to be GCSE level. Level 3 is A-level, BTEC level 3, and level 4 is a higher apprenticeship, degree apprenticeships, which is becoming a lot popular for many people. So there are different levels of apprenticeships. Okay, and higher apprenticeship is, like I said, level 4, level 5, where you will go and do a degree, but you'll need prerequisite, you need pre-qualifications to do that. Okay, so that in a nutshell is apprenticeship. But like I said, in a few weeks I will touch on apprenticeships a bit more. Again, you've got to do research. There's a lot of opportunities out there with apprenticeships. There's a lot of jobs, a lot of good apprenticeships out there, but you've got to do your research. Again, the same websites, the UCAS website and the Unifrog website, are very good. And if you type in apprenticeships, then it will give you lots of good information about apprenticeships. Your personal statement will also come in use as well. So I always say to my students at college, everybody has to do a personal statement for me. Even if you're going to university or if you're getting a job, you have to do a personal statement, because some apprenticeships, some jobs will ask for you to write a statement about yourself, sell yourself to the employer. And a personal statement is exactly that. You are selling yourself. It's written differently to a CV, but nevertheless, it's touching on the same points as on a CV. So it's written differently, it's formatted differently, but the content is very similar. You are selling yourself to the university or an employer. Interview process for an apprenticeship can be complex. It can be 2 stages, 3 stages, 4 stages, sometimes even 5 stages. British Aerospace, they have 5-stage interviews. Again, I'll go into that next time we're together. Brush up your CV. Again, last week's session talked about CV. You just don't know which employer is asking for an application form to be sent, or a CV to be sent, or a personal statement to be sent. So there's different ways of applying for apprenticeships, and you just don't know when you apply what they're going to ask for. So that's why I always say, brush up your CV, have it ready, brush up your personal statement, have that ready. So whenever a job appears, an apprenticeship appears, and you want to apply for it, at least you've got everything there. At this stage, I will say, and I always advise people at college, if you're absolutely sure that you want to go to university, then apply for university. But I get a lot of people who are a little bit unsure whether they should be doing an apprenticeship or going to university. The ball's in your court. I always say apply for both, because university closing date is around Christmas time, about December time, and then it's done and dusted. That's when the apprenticeships come out, the good apprenticeships come out. There's nothing stopping you applying for apprenticeships as well. If you get a good apprenticeship, it's very quick and easy to tell the university that you don't want the place at university because you've got an apprenticeship, and vice versa. If you get an apprenticeship, okay, and you've got a place at uni as well, you've got a bit of time up to June, July next year to decide what you want to do. So I always say apply for both. Apply for apprenticeships, apply for university, and the ball's then in your court. Then you've got a bit of time to sort of play around and decide what you want to do. Speak to your careers advisor at school or college. They will give you a lot more information about what jobs are out there and university and stuff. Like I said, I'm going to talk a bit more about apprenticeships in more detail in a few weeks. And then there's gap year as well. Traditionally, it used to be people went off to travel, but it's become less safe. People find it a bit more daunting to go traveling. And also, traveling is a lot more expensive than it used to be. And currently, because of COVID, I think it's probably an impossible task to go traveling. Some people take gap year to work, get some money together before they apply in a year's time, or possibly even 2 years' time. So some people just want to take time out from education. Remember, you've been in education since you were 5 years old, and now you're 18 when you leave college. So it's been 13 years. So some people just want a bit of time out before they decide what they want to do, which is fine. Some people take a gap year just to review your options. You can't decide what you want to do, and you don't want to be rushed into it. So you want to review your options, or you may not achieve the grades that you wanted, just missed out on a grade, but you're still keen to pursue a career. So you think, well, I'll take a year out, gain some experience, get some skills, get some work experience behind me, and then apply the year after. Some people take a gap year because they're really confused about what they want to do, which is fine as well. You want to take time. I've got to say, within the Asian community, this is, it's not frowned upon, but taking a gap year. In college where I used to work, a lot of non-Muslim, non-Asian tend to take a gap year, and they don't think anything of it. But I think within the Asian community, people are scared to take a gap year because they think it's a wasted year and it's a failure because you're not going on. But some people, it might be suited because you're taking a bit of time out. Just review rather than rush into an option that you may regret in a year's time. And I think just before I finish, just some tips really. Work hard. That goes without saying, and I know everybody says the same things over and over again, but achieve the best grade you can get, because that will keep your doors open for different occupations, different opportunities, apprenticeships. So good grades will get you far, and it'll open up a lot of doors for you. So work hard at the qualification. Manage your time well. And like I said, I know people come to college, don't attend lessons, don't do their work, they go off site and, don't manage their time well. And that's where people end up failing their course or dropping a grade because they were expecting a better grade. So manage your time well. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy because you might have a part-time job. You might be doing other things. You might be doing Hifz class. You might be doing madrasa. So there's a lot going on, but you've got to manage your time well. Attend all classes, because you just don't know which class that you might have missed could contain key information for that exam that you wanted to do, that test that's coming up, that assignment that you had to do. And that way, again, you might drop a grade or a mark. So attend all classes. I've talked about this. Make and stay with good company. Again, it's really important because you can deviate from your whole maqsad, the whole purpose of college, because you could be sort of end up in wrong friendship and stuff. So stay with good company. Don't forget who you're proud of. So what I'm trying to say there is that we are Muslims, we are Asians. Nobody can take that away from us. Be proud. So at college, again, we try and be somebody else, and we want to do what other people are doing. But be proud of who you are. We are Asians, we are Muslims. Be proud of the fact that that's what we are. Most colleges, universities will have prayer facilities. Use those facilities, because I know people do, but there are people who don't as well. So use those facilities. Show good character and personality. That is a sunnah. That is, again, just relates to the other points that I talked about. Many times, the amount of times I've been called to a fight or an incident, or something's happened, or some things happen in terms of drug dealing or something, and majority of the time it involves Asian or Muslim people, which bothers me, because we are taught in madrasa and in mosque regular over and over again about character and personality, but then we don't show that when we are in college. So that's an important point. Show good character, show your personality, that you are a Muslim and you're a good person. People will learn a lot from that. Get involved with volunteering, paid work, enrichment, Duke of Edinburgh, charity work. Like I said, 95% of students at college and school will get their qualification. An employer, a university, then find it hard to differentiate, how do I recruit the person? They will read your personal statement. They will read your CV and say, what else has this person done? How has this person used their time wisely? And if you've done some of these things, believe me, that will stand out on an application. So get involved with good things. And this way, you're staying out of trouble as well in some way. So, getting involved with things that are good rather than not good. And then push yourself, get the grade that you need, because that is important. That will open up doors for you. And just before I finish, research UCAS website, Unifrog website, go directly onto university websites. Prospects, that's a really good website as well in terms of research. Apprenticeships.gov, that will have live vacancies, maybe not now, but when you get to sort of October, November time, that's when apprenticeship starts coming out. So that is a good website as well. Speak to your careers advisor, speak to friends, family members. And just before I finish, like I said, I wanted to give a general overview of career options, which I think I've done today. Next week, and maybe applies more to people who are now currently applying for university, whether you're 18 or 19 or 20, doesn't matter. But people do forget that it is an intense process, filling out the application, making sure it's an accurate application, writing a personal statement, what to include in your personal statement, how do you make it stand out so you get the course and university you want. And then I'll also give you a timeline of deadlines, because there are deadlines for university applications as well, and when you need to do things by, okay, and where you can get further help. Hafizab, I think that's me done. Hope it's been useful for people who are watching.
Of course, Jazakallah. There are a few questions, Shabir Bhai. I'm just going to flick my screen and read this out. So one of our participants has asked a question. Assalamu alaikum. My 18-year-old son has been advised to go down the apprenticeship route. He's looking into software or chemical engineering. A lot of adults and graduates from uni are advising that the apprenticeship is the route to follow, as everyone leaving uni cannot find the job in their field because they're overqualified, or jobs are available on the other side of the country, etc., maybe even abroad. So we as parents have advised uni is only a must if you go into a career requiring licensing, for example, dentistry, etc. So what is your opinion on that, Shabir Bhai?
Jazakallah, Afisab. Yes, there's pros and cons of both. Going to university and getting a degree, once you've got the degree, you've got it for life. Nobody can take it away from you. When you apply for jobs, and some jobs, and I know, and I've applied for jobs, the first thing they will ask for, have you got Master English? Because that is still a requirement for most jobs. And then they will say, have you got a degree? Sometimes they don't even specify which degree, but do you have a degree? Okay. So some jobs will say, have you got a degree? So there is an advantage of going to university and getting the degree, because that will open up doors for you in some sense. However, and I think I mentioned this earlier on, apprenticeship is becoming a better option for a lot of people and a lot of employers, because the government is now putting money and giving money to employers to recruit young people for apprenticeships. They are now advertising a lot more than they used to. So there are a lot of opportunities in engineering. So if we take that example as engineering, there are a lot of engineering organizations, companies are advertising for apprenticeships. The problem, well, not the problem, the thing is, because it's an option and because it's at level 4, if you apply for an apprenticeship and you get the job, you are getting paid. So you are now getting paid for the job that you're doing. They will pay for your university degree as well. All right. So that is a major advantage for a lot of people. The only thing is, there'll be 500 people or 1,000 people applying because of those benefits. So it's very competitive. All right. So although it's a good thing to do, apprenticeships are very competitive. And again, I've mentioned, so what my advice is, apply for a university degree. It costs you, well, to apply through UCAS, it costs about £25, which I know some people find a lot of money. It's not a lot. So £25 to apply through UCAS. So, and the deadline's around sort of December, January time. Apply for a course at uni. So at least you are secured that place at uni. Then apply for apprenticeship. So look out for apprenticeships, apply for apprenticeships. If you get an apprenticeship, it's easy to ring a university and say, I don't want that place at uni, I've got an apprenticeship. So the ball's in your court. Apply for both, and the ball's in your court. You can say no to one and yes to the other, and vice versa. You might get an apprenticeship, and you might say to uni, or the other way around. You might get a university place and an apprenticeship, and you've got a bit of time to decide what you want to do between January and June, July. Personally, I mean, this is, again, I'm talking personally. My daughter's got an apprenticeship. I advise her to get an apprenticeship, and purely for that reason, because she's getting paid for the work she's doing. She's getting herself a degree, which is paid for. So in terms of financially, it's better for her, and she's learning on the job as well. So yes, apprenticeship tends to be a better option, but it is very competitive. So don't go for one or the other. I think apply for both, and then see where you end up.
Basically, what you're saying, Shabir, is don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Your options open until you find what's best for you. Inshallah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Jazakallah for that. Another question which you may have already answered earlier in your presentation, but I'll ask it for the benefit of anyone who's missed what you've said. So if somebody starts a course, but partway through they realize that that's not the right course for them, can they change?
they've got about 2 weeks from the start date to change. Most colleges want people to settle down within the first 2-3 weeks because they start missing too much of the new course. A-levels, I think the deadline might have gone. I think they give them about a week and a half to change any A-level subjects or change A-level subjects. BTECs, they give them a bit longer, probably about 2.5 weeks to change a BTEC course. But it's not long. So we're on the 14th, aren't we? So they started. So if people are currently doing a BTEC course now and want to change, they should go and see their tutors, and they should be able to change. But you know, like I said, do a bit of research and choose the subjects that you think you want to do rather than something that your friend's doing, because you will not enjoy the course. You're only doing it because your friends are doing it, not because you want to do it. And that's where people sort of deviate from learning and end up doing things that they're not supposed to be doing in college. So, you know, do a bit of research and change courses for the right reason. So you have about 2 weeks to change.
Okay, Jazakallah for that. I hope that answers a question for our participants. One question, a personal question from me, before I ask the other brothers if they have any other questions. One is, my question is, if you've already, you left college many years ago, and now somebody wants to go back into education. I know it's not linked directly to leaving college and you know, getting guidance from that type of front, but what if somebody's way past that age but they still want to go back into education? What do they have to do?
That's fine as well. Universities are encouraging adult students to go back into learning. You can go back to college and gain lower end qualifications. It could be Maths or English, because sometimes if you didn't get Maths or English, some universities will encourage you to go back to college first, gain basic knowledge, understanding of English and Maths, and then apply for university. University, there are many courses at university for adults as well. You don't, as an adult, you don't need A-levels of BTEC, but they will ask you to do a foundation degree first. So it's a prerequisite. So you'll do that at university, which incorporates some of the basic understanding of the subject that you might want to do. And then you go on to do the degree after that. So yes, as an adult student, you can go back to university and do a foundation degree first before you go on to do the full degree. As an adult student, you can also do part-time. So you can go full-time, but the problem with full-time for adults is that if you've got a mortgage, if you've got rent to pay, if you've got children, if you've got family, you've no other means of income. So most adults tend to go part-time. So part-time takes a bit longer. So instead of a 3-year degree, it tends to be a 5-year degree, which is fine if you're committed, because 5 years is a long time to be studying. But it's fine because it will lead you to a career path that you might have wanted to do when you were 18, but never got the opportunity. So that's fine. That's fine too. So for adults, yes, you can go back to uni. If you've got level 3 qualifications, you don't need to do a foundation degree. You can go straight onto a degree program, which is fine too.
Jazakallah. I might have to speak to you privately about that. Inshallah.
For yourself, yes.
Inshallah. Never too late.
It's never too late. No, that's
these
fine.
types of webinars might inspire a few more adults to go back into some further education, inshallah. Another question.
Just quickly on that. Yeah, I know we're talking about university, but I do get a lot of adults want to go back to college to do more like plumbing courses and joinery and electrician, and so learn a trade more than getting a degree. So that is fine too. So you can apply to college, because obviously colleges don't do plumbing and joinery and those sort of courses. So you can go back to college, and a lot of adults do end up going back to college to take up a trade. And under current circumstances, and it's a good question because of people being made redundant and companies closing down and COVID and furlough, there's probably a lot more adults thinking about a change of career. So maybe it is something that you know, people should look at, and colleges currently will be recruiting to get onto courses. So it's probably worth looking at those trade-related courses.
Inshallah. I hope that helps our viewers and participants as well. Another question. I believe Aqil Bhai also has a question. I'll ask first, if you don't mind, Aqil Bhai.
No, it's fine.
Question has come from one of our audience, and that is it advisable to choose, so say for example, a student is interested in doing law at uni. Is it advisable that they choose relevant subjects in college based on that? Or does it not matter what you do in college if for example, you choose non-relevant subjects in college, you want to do something else in uni?
University, like I said, and I put up the UCAS, the grading, the university UCAS tariff thing. Most universities don't specifically ask for law-related A-levels or BTEC. You don't even have to do law at an A-level to get onto a law degree. Some universities actually discourage people to do law because there's a lot of repetitive work in your degree program that's covered in a degree that you might have already done in your A-level. So some universities just say, well, don't take law because we'll do it all again when you start university. But I think it's good to do, so you get a bit of understanding of what law is about, just in case you're not sure whether you want to go into law or not. So no, in terms of choosing subjects, A-level subjects, or even BTEC, because you can go into law by doing a BTEC in business or a course. It doesn't matter. You can do any 3 subjects in A-levels and still apply to do a law. And like I said in my presentation, I can go back now. Sorry, in the tariff. If you can just give me a second. There you go. Universities will say for a law degree we want 128 points. Doesn't matter which subjects. They'll just say if you've got points, then we'll take you on. So most universities will just ask for points, tariff points, and that's it.
Okay, so is there, on the back of that, just to clarify, is there any specific degrees or subjects at uni which you have to have a specific correlating subject from college? Does that make sense? Yeah,
it does. Yeah, so you're looking at the top end stuff. So like medicine, you have to do A-levels and you have to do science-related subjects. BTECs are not good enough to do medicine. Same with dentistry, veterinary surgeon, and there are a few others. Not many, but the optometry, those sort of. So more science-related subjects. So they ask for more A-level and science-based subjects. But not many, like I said. So in any engineering field or law or business or marketing or economics, they don't specify specific A-level subjects, but it tends to be those sort of science-related subjects as well. Even architects, although they prefer A-level subjects, I know people who've gone on to architect by getting good level 3 diploma, extended diploma, BTEC course, at distinction stars as well. So, it's it's fine. So it's only those 5 or 6 science-based related subjects which are required to get onto. Yeah.
Aqil Bhai, if you'd like to ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah Shabir bhai. Beautiful presentation, guidance, advice given to all those who are in college. My question is for audiences who are not from UK. Because these videos which will be uploaded or which are online, this will be watched by people who are not from UK. What will be your advice or guidance to them in case if they want to look at options which are available in UK for them after they have finished their college? Maybe anything, brief information or guidance if you can provide.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Yes, we do get a lot of international students coming to UK wanting to do a degree program. Unfortunately, some of the relevant courses studied abroad aren't taken into account by some of the universities or colleges here. So first and foremost, I think they are looking for people to have a basic level of English. In fact, now I think it's a slightly higher level of English because they've got to be speaking and listening, and they've got to do the test before they get here. But in terms of coming here to do qualifications, they may have to start at a lower level, maybe even at college, to get the basic understanding of the UK system before they move up. Because I've dealt with a lot of people who've achieved really good qualifications abroad, then come here and assume they can just sort of carry on in this country, and they get a bit of a surprise when universities and colleges don't accept their qualification abroad. So it's always good to check which course they want to do, and they've got to be prepared that they may not be able to get onto the next level without doing a prerequisite course, a foundation degree, before they get on. Okay, but the universities, obviously, are charging fees, so they don't want to turn anybody away. So they will take people on, but they might not get onto the course that they were expecting. They might go onto a lower course before they progress onto a higher course.
Okay, mashallah, jazakallah. Hafiz Saab, there are a few questions on Q&A. If you can look at it, please.
Yeah, so I think one of them you briefly elaborated on a couple of questions ago. One of the audience is asking, which subjects should you study at college if you want to go into the medical field?
Medical field, it's always a very popular one. Sciences and maths. People still tend to do, nowadays, because it's a very competitive field, universities always say, well, 3 subjects, A-level subjects is enough. But because it's so competitive, some universities may like people to have taken 4 subjects. So sciences and maths is always good to take. Now, they're not easy subjects. And again, you've got to be really good. At GCSE, if you've not achieved it's not ABC anymore, it's 8 and 9s and 7s. If you don't achieve 8s and 9s, then, give it a second thought, because you've got to be really good at A-level sciences in order to sort of complete, and then even at A-level, you've got to achieve A's and A stars in order to then apply for university. And I know people who've been rejected from university even with achieving 3 grade A's. And that, again, going back to the stuff that I talked about, other stuff that you do outside, like work experience, with medical field, they want to see that you've done some work experience in a hospital or a GP practice when you do your application. So it's a combination of not just the qualification, but everything else you do around it to show that over the 2-3 years, you've been thinking about medical field and you've done some work experience. And in college, you've got involved with, there's a medical society in all colleges. So, you've been involved with that sort of thing. So they want to see not just your qualifications. They want to see that you've done things outside your academic arena as well. So it's mainly sciences and maths for medical field.
Jazakallah. Another question again related to the medical field, which has been asked by a sister on Zoom. So are apprenticeships good if you want to join or if you want to go into the medical field? So firstly, on the back of that, are there actually any apprenticeships available to go into the medical field?
If you want to become a doctor or a dentist or a pharmacist or a veterinary surgeon, some of those sort of things, there aren't. But if you want to become a technician in you can become a technician. So in an optician, there are technicians in there. In a dentist, there are technicians. You can do apprenticeships as a technician to all become a technician. So you're not quite a dentist. You're not quite a dentist, but you're a technician. So there are apprenticeships in medical field, but to work as a technician. But if you want to become a doctor or a pharmacist or a dentist, then it is a degree program you have to complete. But yeah, so like a medical receptionist sort of thing. So I know it's not medical in such, but you are working in the medical field, but it's not the occupation that you require. So yes and no. And medical can be hospital as well. There are lots of apprenticeships working in a hospital, in the X-ray department and audiology and that sort of thing, where there are apprenticeships, but they're not the 4 or 5 occupations that I've mentioned. So the answer is yes and no, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Jazakallah. I hope that answers the question for the sister who asked. Anybody have any other questions? Bhai or any of the other panel?
Well, anyone after they have watched this video on YouTube, and if they still have any questions, there is email for Team Hope. What they can do is they can email their question to us, and we will forward it to Shabbir Bhai or any relevant person, and whatever reply comes back, we will forward it to them. So again, after this presentation or this webinar comes to end, still doors of questions are open, and you can send your questions to us, and we will be more than happy, inshallah, to help you with any questions or any guidance you need with resources which are available with us. We are joined, alhamdulillah, on panels. I can see Al-Haj Qari Muhammad Rizwan Sahab, he's joined, and as well as few other members from Ummeed team in India. I would request Qari Sahab if he can mention few words, inshallah, and then Hafiz Faisal if you can briefly mention about our next webinar for next week, inshallah.
Yes, so why don't I just introduce the next session, and then Qari Sahab can take over and conclude the session with dua as well, inshallah. So next week, inshallah, same time, 6 p.m. UK time, Sunday, the 20th of September, inshallah. The next part of Shabbir Bhai's sessions will be in relation to UCAS applications, which he touched upon in today's presentation. UCAS applications and personal statements, how to sell yourself to the uni that you are applying for. I hope that you all join, or at least pass the message on for those who are going to be joining a uni soon, inshallah, so that they can all benefit. And with those final words, I would like to pass over to our esteemed, I'm not going to say guest, because he is one of the heads of this whole project, Qari Muhammad Rizwan from Mumbai. Qari Sahab, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Jazakallah.
barakatuh. MashaAllah. I was watching this brilliant session since the beginning. See, even
MashaAllah.
it started. I was join in even before it started beaming on the YouTube. So I was watching everything from the word go. It was really interesting and technically a prompt because whatever questions were put across, Alhamdulillah, you have replied them with a very nice acumen. And that's what is needed. And the guidance here is very valuable for the young generation. And the entire exercise here is only to inspire the young generation to take up higher studies so that they can acquire higher posts and higher positions, and then contribute in the development of the society as well, towards the nation, towards the community. And one thing which you rightly mentioned was like, as a Muslim, we have greater responsibility towards the nation and towards the nation. Nation means ummah, and nation means the country where we live in. So towards both of them, we got the responsibility to show that we've got a character to show, because Rasul Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the arrival of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the baisat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has a specific purpose, and one of them, and two of them is innama bu'istu mu'allima and innama bu'istu li'utammima makarim al-akhlaq. Indeed, I have been sent as an educator, as a teacher, and indeed I have been sent as the one who develops your character. So that's a very nice message, and inshallah, we should put in some more efforts to get some more specifically targeted audience so that they join us and they get benefited. And this lantern is spread all over the country and towards the better part of the Europe and other places. Because in India, we have started this campaign, and it's been going very well, mashallah. And we have got a very nice team who's doing a wonderful job. Today we finished one 2-day session on engineering, different parts of different fields of engineering. Engineering in itself in India has more than 100 different branches, which even I didn't know before joining the session, which concluded in the evening today. So there is a lot to learn, lot to know, and a lot to pass on to the younger generation. So well done, Shabib. I'm looking forward to your next session, inshallah, the next week, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah, a pleasure meeting you all virtually on Zoom platform. Jazakumullah khair.
Arif Bhai is here. I've seen him. He's joined. Arif Bhai, if you can say a few words before we conclude this session.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, I can see. You're on mute, Arif Bhai.
Maybe I think he may be having technical difficulties.
Maybe, yeah.
We are approaching Maghrib time here as well.
Okay, so then inshallah, Qari Sahab, dua, and then inshallah.
Yeah,
I think
to conclusion, inshallah, yes. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.